What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog, back in Standard here with the Izzet control list. This is pretty similar to the list that I come up with before rotation, but come on, revisit it because obviously we got the spell lands that definitely had a different dimension to the deck, and got some spicy new sideboard tech as well. So let's jump into the review here real quick. So we got 2 Essence Scatters, so many creature decks running around. Essence Scatter definitely feels main and deckable, so we got 2 copies of that. 3 copies here of Into the Roil, being able to bounce any non-land permanent. At least be kind of a pseudo removal, potentially draw a card if we're able to kick it for 4 mana. Jwari Disruption is a land, or can also be a 2-mana counter spell, assuming your opponent taps out. 3 copies here of Scorching Dragonfire, 3 damage to creature or planeswalker instant speed, and exile effect can be pretty powerful as well. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute. There's plenty of mill and rogues and things like that running around, so 2 copies here of Mystical Dispute seems pretty reasonable to run main deck, and it's just a reasonable counter spell overall. 3 copies here of Neutralize, being able to counter anything, or cycle it away if it's not really relevant in the matchup or that point of the game. 3 copies of Soul Sear. It's pretty solid removal here. 5 damage to a creature or a planeswalker. Permanent lose indestructible till end of turn, so it works great against the gods and things like that. Gets around to hexproof, or not hexproof, but like the indestructible effects and things like that. 2 copies of Reign of Revelation. So we're trying to play in speed as much as possible, and Reign of Revelation, being able to draw you 3 cards. And speed is pretty powerful, and you do have to discard a card, but that's not really a big deal. By the time you're able to cast this, you'll have a land or something you can pitch away. We're not super mana intensive, we don't necessarily mind pitching lands to this or whatever. Let's have Teferi that can help us dig through our deck as well. Just 1 copy, not a huge fan of this Teferi, hasn't really made the impact that some of us were maybe worried about it when it was first spoiled. But still a pretty solid planeswalker, as we can filter through our deck with his +1 to draw and discard a card, and -3 to kind of phase out a creature on our opponent's side to kind of protect our Teferi, protect our life total, whatever the case may be. 2 copies here of Storm's Wrath. Being able to deal 4 damage to all creatures and planeswalkers is pretty powerful, since we're pretty late on creatures ourselves. We have some ways to make creature tokens, and of course we just have a couple planeswalkers here, one of them Teferi. So 3 copies of Chandra, Heart of Fire. She's pretty powerful here, being able to do 2 damage to any target, so kind of ping away at your opponent's life total. And also being able to, if you're empty-handed, you can discard your hand, which probably empty-handed, maybe just a land or something else you don't need. Then you can dig 3 cards deep and find something relevant. We are playing in speed quite a bit, but we can still get some use out of her +1 to discard and exile effect. So here's one of our ways to make creature tokens, Experimental Overload. Running 3 copies here. It's not really something you want to see until you actually have been able to fill up your graveyard a little bit. So having 4 copies feels like it's a little bit too much, because if it's your opening hand, it's just kind of a dead card for several turns. And we don't really want that. We're trying to minimize that. So what this says, so we get XX, where X is the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Then you get to return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard back to your hand. You have to exile the Experimental Overloads. You can't just play another Experimental Overload to get the first overload back to your hand and just keep chaining them together. You have to exile it. So that's some built-in protection there. It's nice, it gives you the XX before you get the instant or sorcery out of your graveyard, so you're still getting that value. And just be able to replay spells, if you need a counter spell, another removal spell, whatever the case may be. We got 4 copies of Shark Typhoon, just a powerful card, of course, with making creature tokens, cycling, digging through your deck. And in certain matchups, they don't have enchantment removal. You can just hard cast this and try to get some value off of the rest of our spells here, since everything in our deck is non-creature spells. 2 copies of Sublime Epiphany. We can copy our creature tokens, counter a spell, bounce something back to our opponent's hand, and draw a card, all in one nifty little spell here. Finally, we have 3 copies of Shatterskull Smashing. Just go to removal here or a land. You can even pay 3 life to have this one come in untapped. Mana base here, we do have the 1 Castle Vantress. Since we do have the 6 islands, so pretty reasonable running at least 1 castle here. 6 mountains, 4 of the Riverglide Pathways, and 4 Temple of Epiphanies. Obviously, the pathways are nice because it lets you run like an even land count, even though your deck might be skewing towards a certain color, because you can kind of pick and choose which side you want this to come in, on the blue or the red side. Sideboard here, we do have Soul Guide Lantern. Definitely Graveyard Hate is a must. A couple Cinderclasms to do with Scoot Swarm and any other kind of a low to the ground, go wide strategy. Against other control type decks, we can bring in Magmatic Channeler, because they're going to see that we're a control deck, and they might not have a lot of interaction to deal with this, especially if we drop this on turn 2, get around their counter spells, and we use it for card advantage, or just have it become a 4/4 creature with all the spells that we're casting. 2 copies here of Deny the Divine. Thanks to mill and rogues, a lot of people have really turned to escape effects, creatures with escape. to get value. Cruxa, of course, Pelucranos, things like that. So this lets us counter a creature or enchantment spell and exile it instead. So that's pretty powerful. It does cost 3 mana, so a little bit expensive, but the exile effect might just be worth it. So not a card that sees a whole lot of, not a card that sees a whole lot of play, but it seems like it's worth taking a look at. 2 copies here of Midnight Clock. Again, it's the anti-mill tech. Being able to shuffle cards back from our graveyard back into our library and draw 7 brand new cards. 2 Ox of Agonas, of course, works really well against the mill strategies as well. And then Thassa's Intervention to get a little more flexibility here for a card draw or a counter spell in mid-range and control matchups. Alright, that's the list. We'll jump into some matches. Alright, begins Chinga EST. Well, the hand seems pretty reasonable. A little land heavy, but we can keep the Disruption open as a counter spell. And Shatterskull open as removal, depending on the matchup. We have some good removals, so I think we'll bottom that for now. Try to dig for maybe a Planeswalker, something else a little more interesting. Goblin Arsonist. Alright, go and play this mountain. We'll just hold open the Disruption here, see what they do. Okay, some kind of a mono red build, it looks like. Alright, you got me for one. Anything else? Okay. We're not going to worry about the little 1/1 just yet. Seems like maybe our opponent is just not sure what we're up to, so they don't want to commit to anything. Or they just don't have any creatures to play right now. Just holding up some burn spells, perhaps. Well, seems like a good counter spell target. They don't hit us for 2, and they don't get the creature side of the adventure spell. We are defenseless here with our 3 manas open, but we have Soul Sear Into the Roil coming online, so we're not too worried about it. I don't think we have to kick Into the Roil yet, so we'll go and play Temple. That way we have potentially Chandra open to us next turn, especially if they have 1 or no creatures on board. Don't really want to use a Soul Sear on a Goblin Arsonist. So we'll see if they can play another creature. Okay, just mono red burn. It's very clever. Okay, Leyline Tyrant comes down. We can burn that. Then we can get a Chandra down next turn, ping down this Arsonist. They can hit us, or Chandra if they want for 1 when it dies. Yeah, Tyrant doesn't really do anything. Alright. Mostly leaning towards blue, so we'll play that there. Get our Chandra down. I think essentially negate the +1 here, ping her back down to 5. They could have a Soul Sear. I don't know how many mono red lists run Soul Sear in the main, or at all. Yeah, 3 cards in hand. Torbrand. Well, we can bounce that and then counter it. Seems pretty reasonable. I don't think they'll be tapping out, so we'll go ahead and play the backside of the Disruption. Let's see what they choose to do here. 3 cards in hand. Annex. Well, opponent's tapped out, so we'll go ahead and bounce their Torbrand. Well, not tapped out, but they can't play Torbrand here. They could respawn at instant speed just to get some extra burn value if they have something. But appears they do not, or choose not to use it right now. Okay, just a Royal Eruption. We'll just hold up instant speed here. We can Scorching Dragonfire their Annex and Essence Scatter the Torbrand. Wow, they played. They went in with Annex first. Is this Embercleave here? Yeah, we do have 6 mana open, so maybe we should have played around that. Just like that, our opponent is down to 14. They're losing this race. I don't know if we need both Shatterskull Smashings now that we've been able to deal with our board, so we'll keep one of them open, potentially do discard to this Rain of Revelation. 2 cards in hand and not casting anything. Alright, Rain of Revelation, let's get a refill. All the lands. I guess Path. This card, Mystical Dispute, probably not too good here against the mono-red matchup. I think we'll go and play this out. Alright, Chandra getting it done here. Wow, Cathartic Reunion. That's some interesting tech. And Fire Prophecy. Haven't seen Mono Red use up those. Another Torbran. That's cute. Just the part where you concede. Chinga EST. Red Cap Melee. Sure. Alright, we'll draw some more. All the Shatterskulls. Well, we don't need a Storm's Wrath, that's for sure. Well, they've been able to ping our Chandra down. But we have a Neutralize. We have Shatterskull Smashing for removal, all the lands, so we're a pretty good spot here. If we do find a way to deal with our Chandra, we'll be in bad shape. They're just going to Spike Field for 1. Yeah, sure. We'll save the Neutralize for something more relevant. Shark Typhoon seems pretty good. We have 2 mana open, but that's fine. We could bolt ourselves just to have Neutralize open, I guess. Why not? Let's flex a little here against the mono red player. Let's flex. Let's take that 3 life. Oh! Alright. So pretty mediocre mono red build. And our deck is already pretty well suited towards creature removal. Don't think Soul Guide Lantern is going to be doing any good for us. Ox. So yeah, pretty fortunate with some timely counter spells and whatnot. Obviously against mono red, getting to a hard casting a Shark Typhoon is going to be hard for them to deal with, especially if we can cast it and not have to worry about dying the next turn. Cinderclasm maybe, but their deck seemed like it was a little bit more mid-rangey. Obviously Torbran has 4 toughness, Annex has 3 toughness, Bone Crusher has 3 toughness, so it doesn't quite do enough here. Could, ping down the, or get rid of the NX tokens, but it doesn't seem worth it. Alright, we've got a couple of sweepers here. Okay, well, I mean, anytime you take down mono red, it's a good day, so I'm going to go ahead and leave this one in there. That was ranked gameplay as well, so nice start. Alright, against Tobias J. Jansen. Gotta go first. 2 lands, seems okay. If we're desperate, we can always cycle the Shark Typhoon for a land. We have Essence Scatter, depending on what the matchup is. And this is where Experimental Overload isn't really great in the opening hand, but I think the Scatter, Neutralize, Soul Sear is pretty good removal, and Shark Typhoon being able to always cycle with 2 lands seems reasonable. I mean, we're only running 21 natural lands to go along with our 3 Jwari Disruption and 3 Shatterskull Smashing. So we have potentially 27 lands. But still haven't figured out how the algorithm really adapts to the spell lands. Seems like it gets kind of wonky at times. Okay, to Drew Blightblade. Alright, get that down to red so we have both of our colors. So obviously it looks like a creature deck so far, so Essence Scatter seems pretty solid. Depending on what it is. So we'll go Death Touch perhaps. Could just be holding open removal here, like a Heartless Act or Eliminate or something. We definitely want to hit our land drop, so it feels bad, but we're going to cycle this for 0, just to draw a card. Chandra, not ideal draw, but it does help us find our land, so. Of course, Shark Typhoon does not synergize with the Overload, but that's alright. Shark Typhoon is good value in general, and since the rest of our deck is spells. So we got Neutralize here or Soul Sear. Well, I can't imagine we'll be using this on a little 1/1. Okay, 3 mana open, Hooded Blightfang, Orin Reef Ooze. I could Essence Scatter it or Neutralize, but we can also just Soul Sear it, so that seems fine. Oh, they put it on the Blightblade. Okay, well. Either way, I think we just want to kill the Ooze. As long as Chandra can deal with the Blightblade, I think we're fine with that. Alright, well, we're missing land drops here, but we'd have another cycling effect. Some counter spells to kind of keep us afloat. Obviously, it's going to take a while for us to lose to a Blightblade. It's possible, but we'll see. If the opponent's deck is just all removal, or that's all they have in hand, I mean, if it, yeah, I think that's worth countering. If they're spend their turn trying to do that, especially to deny them a card draw, prevent some damage here. You know, get the Blightblade at 2 might make a difference. There's Temple. Well, scry for another land here. That's sort of a land. I think I'd rather have an actual untapped land if possible. Alright, no Essence Scatter, then we'll just Shark Typhoon cycle for 1. Wow, another Scale the Heights. I'm not really sure what the opponent is up to. Just playing the Death Touch creature just for Death Touch value, I guess. Yeah, we'll take 3. Experimental Overload. Sure, we'll get our Chandra down. Just get that ticking away at their life total, give them something to think about for their removal. Leave our 1/1 back to try to defend our Chandra. They probably have a Murderous Rider or something, though. Oh boy, people don't know how to emote. Just being trolly over there saying nice. Come on, dude. Not everyone, but of course, lots of people tend to be that way, so. So is it creature removal? Oh. Ram through, that's interesting. I guess that makes sense with Death Touch, but they don't seem to be Death Touch tribal. They seem to be, well, they have Blightblade plus Orin Reef Ooze. Those are the only 2 creatures we've seen from them. So pretty unfortunate they're able to put 2 counters on this Blightblade. That Orin Reef Ooze putting a counter on the dude instead of itself was kind of interesting. We'll get the back of Soul Sear, so if we have to kill this Blightblade with that, we can. Yeah, Essence Scatter if when they do final play another threat. Feed the Swarm. Okay. We have another way to buff your creature here. Kill my Chandra. Since they seem to be just playing light on creatures, just trying to buff them up with scale the heights and things like that, then we'll just keep them from having any creatures. If that's your strategy, to play just a handful of creatures and then try to pump them up. We'll just hold open the Soul Sear Neutralize here. Use a Neutralize to protect our Chandra. Use a Soul Sear to finish off this Blight Blade, especially in response to any tricks, any buff effects, things like that. Okay, they're just going to tap out. Trying to Bloodchief Thirst our Chandra. Now they're tapped out. We can just go ahead and fire these off and just get that over with. Storm's Wrath. Alright, we got our Experimental Overload all the way up to 4. Let's just hold up Essence Scatter. We get a 4/4 now as well. Alright, so that way we can hold open Sublime Epiphany next turn and copy our token, unless they kill our token again. The Lucrinus. They can escape it, but we slow them down a little bit. I wonder if they're holding up a Questing Beast or something in hand. I mean, either way, we have a counter magic. If they find a second green source and essentially tap out to Questing Beast here, we just counter it, make a copy of our token, and swing for 8. Seems pretty solid. Cheville. Counter, token, draw a card. Don't really love countering a Cheville, but I think it's worth just getting the 4/4 down. Boom, boom. Alright. So, they do have some Death Touch synergy, but Oran Reef Ooze, I'm not sure what they're trying to do with that. Alright, take out Mystical Dispute, bring in the Deny the Divine, since we know they're running Pelukrinos. See if we can give this card a chance to do something. Obviously, trying to be cute against a Death Touch deck isn't going to do us a whole lot of good. I'm still going to probably have like Murderous Riders and Bloodchief's Thirst, so. But yeah, I mean, our deck is already pretty geared towards the creature matchup, since that's pretty indicative of the current meta, very creature heavy. So sometimes getting being matched up against other control decks can be a little awkward in game 1. Well, we do need lands, but we are on the draw. I mean, any third land with this hand, and we're great. So lead on the Smashing here. If we're desperate, we can always cycle the Neutralize. And then we have a couple kill spells at least, and some card draw once we finally do get to our 4th land. Castle Vantress, and we have the island here, so we're in a decent spot. So that'll put us on double blue. Untapped, so we'll have Neutralize, Soul Sear, etc. open to us. And Deny the Divine, since they will be at 4 mana, so if they play Pelukrinos on curve turn 4, then we'll have that counter ready for them. They do get to ooze down here. I'm not sure what the point of Oran Reef Ooze is, and everything else is Death Touch. This is interesting experiment, you know, Death Touch plus counters, except that's the only counter synergy plus Scale the Heights. I don't know. Do we care about the 1/1? Not really. Rather just Soul Sear the Oran Reef Ooze. They seem to have some other effect in hand. Yep, kind of what I was expecting. And they do that before... Oh, it's sorcery, that's right. I keep wanting to think this is instant speed. I mean, come on, we've had to deal with growth spiral for so long that it feels like it just should be. Feels like it should be instant speed, especially since it's 3 mana. We'll take one. Actually, we'll cycle. See if they have an instant speed kill spell. Draw a card. There we go. And if they do spend their turn killing it, then we can just drop our Chandra and use that to blow up this Blight Blade. Could also just take it and just leave the 2/2 back for later. Alright, Chandra, come on down. Your path to success last time. Just need to untap here, and we have plenty of good spells. Alright, 3 cards in hand. Nothing. Seems like your deck needs a little bit of work there, opponent. Oh, we got counters. We got removal. We got card draw. Don't see how we can possibly lose from here. Wow. Opponent's got nothing. Oh, fire off this rain. Lots of room to discard anything. I guess Disruption seems fine. Opponent's got plenty of lands over there. Man, do we just go for a Shark Typhoon? I mean, they're in Golgari colors, so they probably have a way, might have a way to deal with it. So let's not be greedy. Let's just hold open our counter magic. I mean, we know they're running Feed the Swarm, at least. Experimental Overload will give us a token and something back. So we'll just make tokens here. Although if they want to Feed the Swarm for take 6 to blow up our Shark Typhoon, that might be worth it. Let's see, what are we at right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can do X4. Alright, well if they're not doing anything, let's get a 4/4 out. And we're in ultimate territory for Chandra. Not that that really matters in our deck, especially at this point of the game. And if the opponent continues to do nothing, we can Rain, or we can Castle Vantress. So yeah. Gnarlid Colony. Kicked, so that's going to be a 4/4. We'll just keep them off creatures. Play it safe. Don't give them a chance to do anything. Seems like that's what's stuck in their hand is ways to pump up their creatures, maybe. I've seen Scale the Heights. Not sure what else they're running. Could be lands as well. Yeah, probably another land. Maybe Scale the Heights, something else, some random card that doesn't really affect the board. All right, against Saturn Skills. 4 lands, counter, removal. Seems pretty reasonable. Temple of Triumph. Curious. Plenty of lands. Bottom that. Party deck. Okay, what colors? Just Boros. Double Archpriest. Well, Storm's Wrath would be pretty amazing. We'll bottom that. Into the Roil's okay against the party list, but we'll just find some actual removal. Well, obviously we need to deal with that. Getting in for a lot. Right, we'll hold up and Neutralize just in case they do something crazy. Man, that's rough. I think Storm's Wrath is the only thing that's going to save us here. Alright. Well, they chose to load up a single creature? I don't understand that one at all. I think we need Teferi and dig for a Storm's Wrath. Give them something else to spend their removal or attacks on. And when they go to equip and put counters on stuff, then we can just phase. Again, just going to load up a single creature. Yeah, we'll phase you out. We want to kill my Teferi. Shatterskull Smashing is interesting. Do this for 3, I guess. Not sure what that background noise is. Carry. Magmatic Smashing. Try to kill both things next turn. Essence Scatter for any more creatures. Down to 12, so we're doing okay. We got a 2/2 defender. Castle Ardenvale and an aggro list. We counter that. Could wait and see what they do, but rather just counter that now and not worry about them having something else. Alright, we can kill both creatures here. Actually, no, wait. Oh, we're still short of that. Oh, yeah, don't think that was what I wanted to click on. Alright. Mistakes were made. That's cute. You? Or wait. Wait a second. What? Draws a card. Non-land permanent. There we go. Creature we control. Player. Alright. I'm going to swing into my 2/2s. We have Scorching Dragonfire plus Neutralize. Alright, so we're back in this. Maybe. Winota. Oh, that's so cute. Winota. Where's your Boros list? What are you gonna do with your 1 open mana, dude? Alright, goodbye, Akiri. And Boros colors, I could definitely have a way to deal with this shark. Enchantments will hold it open as an actual... Oh. Actually, we'll just experimental overload and get back Scorching Dragonfire. You're at 20, you're gonna block. No. Alright, when they go to equip their Archpiece, we'll just Dragonfire it. Just make them spend as much of their mana as possible. Especially get them out of a Castle Ardenvale range. Yeah, I don't understand the strategy of just loading up on a single creature. Especially when you've seen all the removal we have. Okay. They are very committed to following that strategy. Well, they just wasted their turn trying to get that all set up for not. Yeah, you got a 2-2 over there. Rain of Revelation. Not ideal, but it's not the worst. Down to 6, but hey, no fear in our dojo. We're crashing in there. Swinging for 9. They're down to 7, so they gotta think twice about how they want to proceed with these attacks. Baneslayer Angel. Well, that's pretty nasty. So we can Soul Sear that. Also drawn to a counterspell, maybe? No counterspells were found. We do have Shatterskull Smashing. The Ozolith. So the counters here are pretty important. On the Baneslayer. Okay, so we need some way to bounce that, maybe. Get to kill the Aspirant, though, without any... well, they would have gotten the counter anyway. Well, yeah, they would have gotten the counter anyway, but wouldn't have been able to kill the 2-2 here. Oh, Into the Roil. Whew. Well, we made some misplays early on, but we ended up getting there in the end. Just to be sure, we'll draw a card. Ozolith trigger. You got it. We're swinging for 9, though. You're tapped out. Whew. Alright, able to overcome some misplays there against some kind of a Boros mid-range pile. Huh. This Mystical Dispute's okay. We're going to deny the Divine, just a way to more creature counters. Cinderclasm. I mean, it kind of deals with the Archpriest and Luminarch Aspirant potentially. We'll try that. Shave 1 Chandra, get rid of the Teferi. Teferi is pretty medium against a kind of a go-wide type strategy, what they're trying to do, especially now that they're going first. Alright, see if they can redeem themselves here, especially on the play. I mean, we have at least 2 lands. Potentially 4. All the colors we need. Don't love Sublime Epiphany in the opening hand, but we do have this Temple. Maybe scry into some actual lands. Okay, Disruption's not bad. Revelation is nice, but I'd rather do that later when we're trying to refill. So yeah, we'll just play this island, then we'll have Counterspell open, assuming they have something to tap out for. Okay, just Ozolith and Short Sword, that's perfect. Now we can counter. Could also open Cinderclasm, hold open Cinderclasm as well, depending on what it is, and just try to get them, try to catch them off guard. Although, no, with Ozolith online though, then they'll get those counters. So, wow. Probably be a while before we need you, so let's go ahead and play you tapped. Maybe save the other one for removal. Alright, so I have a counter magic open, plus Into the Roil if we need to for some reason, but... Alright, so they're running Terror of the Peaks and Baneslayer Angel, so definitely want to be aware of that once they get up to a 5 mana. No land here, so they're stuck on 3. Man. Wish I had Cinderclasm open right now. Oh, I'll take that. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take 2, and then we can Cinderclasm for kicked next turn. Perfect. Don't love all these Shatterskull Smashings in hand. Obviously removal is good, but go into combat. And we'll blow them up. They do get to deal 2 damage to me. That's fine. Their shields down for a counterspell. We'd have Into the Roil open. Shatterskull Smashing for 3 as well. Stuck on 3 lands, we don't have to worry about Terror or Baneslayer either. So yeah, we'll just fire you off for 3. 3, please. There we go. Boom. Boom. Man, why does it do that? 2 and 1. There we go. Make sure you get that right. Yes, auto pay. Okay, no creatures. Here we go. We'll keep the Disruption open for their 5 mana plays. Unless we find a 6th land for the Sublime Epiphany, then we just use that to counter anything. Alright. Well, I guess playing Disruption is the same as having 6 lands for Sublime Epiphany next turn, especially now that we have 2. Alright, so we can Shark Typhoon for 3. But they're going to make that a 4/4 unless they play a creature or put the counter on that. Most likely we just bounce here just to slow their tempo down. Might even let them hit me for 4. Okay. Okay. Yeah, just slow them down. Soul Sear is not bad. And if they just want to spend their turn playing Fire Charger again, hit me for 2, then yeah, we'll just Shatterskull again. They get a counter on the Ozolith, but without any creatures to put it on, we're not too worried about that. Especially with them being stuck on 3 lands here. And they don't even bother to equip. Huh. I think we can play this as a land. Don't think we need to hold it for discard fodder. We sided out Teferi. We have the 2 Rain of Revelation, which we already bottomed 1. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can Shark for 5 here. I think that's our best bet. Let's let them go to combat first. 5. We'll block. See if we can kill their Aspirant. They did leave mana open, so I'm not sure what their game plan is. Yep, 2 counters on the Ozolith. You got it. Akiri. Well, we have Into the Roil, Soul Sear. Plenty of good options. We don't want them drawing cards, obviously, so if they do go to equip, then we'll take out this Kiri. Can always bounce it as well. I'd rather just kill it. Maybe in response to the Ozolith trigger putting counters on it. So it'll put exactly at 5. But either way, we can kill it before it even gets the counters. And since it doesn't have the counters and the counters are leaving the Ozolith, I believe they would actually just lose them. Once they tapped out, yeah, I'll counter that. Counter, return, token, draw. Yeah, you can have your Kiri back to your hand. We got 2 5/5s. with flying. So yeah, we're in a pretty commanding spot here. Kind of a Winota Warriors equipment deck. Wonder why they're running Short Sword instead of Maul of the Skyclaves or Scavenge Blade or anything like that. Jwari Disruption. Sure, seems pretty good. Do we have? I think we're good with what we have in hand. They're at 5, so we just kill them next turn as long as we have at least one token. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can Sublime Epiphany plus Disruption. Seems pretty good. Tap out for Akiri here. You want to equip your Fireblade Charger. You can't block these flyers, so you might as well try to get in there. Not sure the opponent has a way out of this. Alright, we'll flex here. Sublime Epiphany with a blowout. Man, that feels good. As good as it feels for us, it feels pretty bad for them. I mean, they didn't really do too much. They played some creatures. They got us down to 14. But we were pretty fortunate to draw just the right counters and removals in time there. Yeah, they're definitely hurting themselves with Short Sword instead of like the ones that come in. You just come in from Zendikar Rising equipped to your creature when you cast them. I don't know, opponent's giving us the salty rope. Can't blame him too much, but I mean, just concede. You know, why you want to waste your time? Sometimes it's frustrating, but sometimes it's nice to just kind of revel in it a little bit. We are playing Izzet control, so it's a little bit evil, but when you play jank all the time, sometimes it feels good to be the one that's in control. So don't play control often, but when we do, it's nice to have it go in our favor. Definitely been on the receiving end of counter spells and kill spells. That dot deck doesn't feel good. Oh yeah, salty rope. Alright, so get you for 15. Alright, stop you cute here, let's just attack, end the game. We're not going to waste the time here. We already flexed, we did our thing. Showcase the deck pretty nicely, I would say. Alright, gold tier 2. Yeah, haven't been playing a whole lot of ranked, so it is what it is. Eventually we'll get back up to our platinum. Alright, just gonna review the deck real quick. I don't know if you guys have been playing control, maybe you have some thoughts on this archetype. Maybe there's some cards that you think should be included or deserve more consideration here. Yeah, I swear. The more they do updates, the worse this game gets. Alright. Hey, look at that. Instead of a mythic, we got gems. Gotta love that. Gotta love that. Alright. Izzet control. Yeah, these spell lands, the Shatterskull and the Jwari Disruption, definitely had a very powerful element to the list. Has taken some tuning to kind of get it where it is. Obviously, I'm a fan of running 2s and 3s. Just kind of giving you a little bit more flexibility, kind of squeeze things in, more variety, especially standard is pretty diverse. for a change. So having different resilient answers, or just kind of a variety of answers for different decks. Flexibility, that's the word we're looking for. Feels pretty good. Feel like you need to run at least 6 basics to run castles, so I think we're right there. At least 5 at the absolute minimum, and only then if it really makes sense. So yeah, having 6 with the Castle Vantress feels fine. Obviously we don't need the red castle with our tokens. But yeah, Chandra and the, once you get to these big tokens from Experimental Overload and Shark Typhoon, sometimes you have to play them earlier just to get some small creature tokens down, just to kind of block and defend your life total or your planeswalker, so you don't get run over by aggressive decks. But you're just trying to survive until the late game, and then you can kind of take over and make like really big Shark Typhoon tokens and have lots of spells in your graveyard to make a big token from your Experimental Overload. Obviously, they're creature tokens, so they're very susceptible to your opponent's removal. But we're running some counter spells too, and especially when they see we're running control, then they're going to be a little bit maybe lighter on their removal as well. Magmatic Channeler might be a little bit cute. Could maybe trim it to 3 and then maybe bring another Thassa's Intervention or some other counter spell. I haven't really gotten to test it too much. I definitely like the idea of it. The Deny the Divine might be cute, but I think it's worth looking at. Being able to exile, I think, is pretty powerful, and since Izzet is a little bit light on those effects, I think Deny the Divine gives us a good option. We'd have obviously Scorching Dragonfire, but it only deals 3 damage to something to exile it. And yeah, Cinderclasm definitely feels like it's pretty important. Scoot Swarm and Midnight Clock, especially with kind of a slower deck. Definitely very powerful against the mill strategies running around. So, yep, been having some decent success and more importantly, fun with this particular version of Izzet Control. Post rotation now, Zendikar Rising Standard. So, yeah, thanks for watching. You guys have any thoughts? Always just let me know. Until next time, though, make sure you jank with purpose.